Hola a todos! Welcome back to day 5 of Get Organized in 7 Days. Motto of today is connect. So yesterday I showed you a very important element to structure your tasks by, temporal boxes, in temporal boxes. So, and we already saw that sooner or later you will realize that you don't have enough time for everything you want to do. And then the question is, how do we prioritize? Which are the things that we really do and which are the things we don't do or do later? And today we will look at another structuring element to help you make this decision and to really see whether what is on your to-do list really fits your priorities. So you might have guessed it. So we have been on this tab Properties before, and I showed you infos, I showed you sections. There's one left, and that's called Categories. So to add categories, you remember on day 1 you made this list of topics that are important for you right now. So take this list out, pause the video, get this list wherever you have it, and come back so you can start to define your categories. So these kinds of topics, things that go on in our lives, projects, or it can also be people, for example. So anything that helps you to group tasks together. So what at the end of the day, what you want is when you plan your tasks in your time boxes, like what do I do today, tomorrow, next week, it's always good to do things together that kind of belong together, because your brain is always focused on a certain topic, on something. And this is also the reason it's well known that distractions like getting a phone call don't make you very productive. And one of the reasons is that your brain has to shift contexts. And this is what you want to avoid. So it's always good to do things together that kind of belong together. And categories help you to tag your tasks in a way that you see that and that it's easier for you to move them around into your sections. So we can add categories here, and I start very generic. So I start with a work category, and I add a private category. Mechanisms of adding, deleting, moving around is the same, of course, as with tasks. So when I think about work, of course, I'm doing todo listo things. And then I may have to do some infrastructure work. That is always something to do. And then I may have some kind of accounting stuff. And the colors you use is just fully up to you. So I like to use yellow for the boring stuff. I don't know why. So infrastructure and accounting are these like things I have to do I not really care about, but anyway. And then there's something like marketing maybe. And again, you can of course nest those things as deeply as you like. And then you have, your categories, same mechanism as with sections. So once you have them, you can assign them to tasks, just as we did with the sections. So here's my example list. And now I have added these categories here to my tasks. Again, as with sections, not every task needs a category. But it's often something to think about why you do not add a category. It's totally fine. I mean, there's nothing wrong with it. But if you don't find a category for your task, that means it doesn't fit any of your larger topics, not anything that you have, going on, obviously. So that might mean it's not really important because it doesn't fit any of the things you want to achieve. It may also mean that there is something more going on in your life that you haven't realized yet. So there is maybe another topic you're working on that wasn't even explicit. If it is, then add it to your properties, to your categories. So at least you know what's going on. And different than sections, a task can actually have several categories, as many as you like actually, but the thing is at some point you won't be able to really see what's happening. So I advise not to have more than 3 categories, because then you kind of lose the overview. And with categories you can do the same thing as with sections. You can group by category if you like. So I find this very useful, especially when a topic is kind of coming to an end. So I find that there has been a larger thing to do and it's kind of coming to an end. I just want to see what more do I have to do, and maybe just work off those small things just, to get it done. That's something I often do, but usually I go by time. So that's my main view. But also if you either don't group at all or you have those boxes, you can also use categories or any of the other properties actually to sort. So I can sort by category now. And so I see everything that has the same color basically, or actually the same category tag, belongs together. And when I have to distribute my tasks, like in time boxes, in those sections, then I have a better idea what belongs together. I don't have to read through all my tasks just to know when do I want to do them. You can usually try to get them together. So when I have grouped by sections, you will always get a little preview of what's already in the section, and then you can put your tasks in. Of course, something like next year, just put anything in there. But if it's a day or maybe even a week, sometimes you can give your week a topic, and then try to do all those things that kind of belong together in that 1 week, so you get it done and you can really focus on that one topic. Now during the day, when you are working with categories, again you have a choice when to assign them and how you work with new tasks. There's one trick I want to show you, that is when you're in your list and a task already has a certain category or categories assigned. If you have a keyboard and you use the Enter key to add a new task, just press the Control key to go with it, and then you will see that actually here the property got copied, so you don't have to assign it to every new task. So that's the new one, and it already has the properties from the one that you started from. Now, when you come to the end of the day, you can have another look at your categories. So the example here is kind of a real example. This was my to-do list once, and it was awful. This was a time when I had 216 tasks on my list. This is too much. This is a clear signal that I had to reduce things. So that was a time when I just did not take on anything new. The only goal was to get rid of those tasks, to delete, to work them off, and to definitely not get anything new. But when you look at the categories, that also tells you something about how your tasks fit to what you think is important to you. So here in this list, you always see how many tasks are assigned to that category. This is of course a very rough number because tasks can have different sizes. But even if you have a topic with lots of small tasks, that means you have been working on this and you already have rather detailed things, and you would only have to work off those small things and you could actually finish the whole topic. But it kind of keeps you busy, obviously. So it's in your mind. And if you have lots of those categories with lots of tasks, that means you naturally will be distracted. Your brain cannot keep up with all of those things. So usually I would not have, I think, 2 or 3 main topics that you're working on. Of course, you can have these things like accounting and infrastructure that you just have to do. That's fine. But like really topics you're working on, I would not do more than 2 or 3. If you have more, then really think about the importance of them. Actually, the importance for you also. What is really the thing that needs to get done, first of all, now? Maybe there are topics that you can shift to later. And maybe you just can get rid of some of the things. Maybe a complete topic, or maybe just some tasks out of them. Maybe you find somebody else to do them for you. Or you can ask people to shift things, or maybe to shift deadlines, so that you get your back free of all of those things you have to do. Because that naturally gets you distracted, and if you know you have to do all those things at once, that is when we get into the situation when we're stressed, when we actually don't want to start on any of the things because it's so much that we actually know that we cannot get them all. And that really gets us stressed. So get down from that and reduce. And of course, you can also look at the structure of your categories and see whether that is really what you think you should be working on. Even if you're not having too much to do, it still should show you somehow your main topics and what are the ones that are important to you. So now we have all the pieces together to get you better organized. So we basically have the techniques, and congratulations for having come so far. Tomorrow we just dig a little bit deeper. So we have it all. So we have another view just around everything. And I give you a few more tips of how to deal with too much work, how to organize category sections and so on, and make sure that what you are doing is really what is important to you. And that's it for today. Looking forward to see you tomorrow. Hasta luego.